You can always add more to a painting, but you need to realize that the painting's already been done.
Like, at what day and moment was I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore?
Right.
I wish I could go back and kick that sumbitch in the dick.
Whatever somebody's going through, even the little things are things that like progressively get bigger. Like there's ways around it. There's ways to like go through it. There really is.
Everything has a consequence. Everything changes with every decision that you make.
This is me versus me.
I'm surprised you never heard that before.
I told you because it was mostly.
That's fair. Welcome, buddy. I appreciate you finally being on. It's been a long time coming. This is my good friend Josh Novac. For all the listeners, I've been kind of wanting to have him on for a little bit now. He's a really, really good example of just how strong somebody can be. And when I say that, what I'm talking about is the amount of endurances that one person can go through and still have a good heart, which I feel like is like truly important. And without getting to know you, a lot of people aren't going to understand that. But after getting to talk to you guys for a long time, and being able to see just how much one person can persevere through all the bullshit that you've seen and being forced to fight in different ways that most people fucking wouldn't understand, considering you guys are all from another country. It's fucking crazy to me that somebody like you, at the very least, can still consider other people and consider the respect from other people the way that you would want it, the way that you would give it. Most people that have gone through 90% of the shit that you've seen would have long time given up by now, and they would just be fucking assholes to everybody. So I'm grateful that you decided to come on, and I'm grateful that you decided to share a little bit with us, because I believe that those qualities are a lot more important than a lot of things. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I know that even though all of your family, you're basically from Romania, but you were born in the USA.
Yep.
And some people are like, he was from what, Seattle?
Yeah.
Like they're like, he was from Seattle. Well, no, fuck that. You're really not though. Your heritage, your values, your upbringing, everything is from home, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to start, if you could tell us a little bit about how difficult that was to try and make. You guys had I'm caught in everything that you guys were telling me, because your battles weren't necessarily with adapting to American. It was, as far as I could tell, it was fighting the people that were going through the same struggles that you were,
Yeah.
And that's what fucking blew my mind the most, was you and your sister were saying how many times other people from your churches and other people of the same heritage would constantly fuck with you guys.
Yeah. No, it's actually pretty wild, to be honest. It's you were to think, hey, to stick together, it's your own kind and stuff like that, and then most of the time it kind of seems like your own kind is looking for your downfall.
Yeah, that's what blew my mind the most, because we've talked about this, because I can't keep my mouth shut while I'm drinking. We've talked about this a couple of different times, but I really am so interested in the different lifestyle and the different values and everything like that. And every time you guys tell me more and more, you guys are just not necessarily shifting my opinion, but molding it, and it's mind blowing, because I never would have thought to hear that you guys were getting attacked by the people that should have understood the struggles the most, if that makes any sense.
Yes. No, understanding. It's exactly how I thought too, thinking, hey, we're, from the same thing, we're the same kind of people or something like this, but a lot of the time it's some of the people that you think the most of are the ones that'll put their back towards you, or the ones that'll speak the most about you in the type of way that you don't quite need to hear it, even though you might have their backs, you might have their stuff like this. It's a lot of times, if you're not in their vicinity and they're quite I should say dialogue kind of thing, then you're, they look at you as an outsider.
Was there any kind of any kind of like we're better than you kind of feeling going on? Is that
yeah.
is that kind of what it was?
Yeah, that's one of the churches we used to go to that we don't go to anymore. It was a Romanian church. Now all them up there they all got their fancy cars. They all got their business made. They all got money. And now when I go to that church every now and then, they will look at you differently. They know about us. They this like this. For us, grew up from a family of 9 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I got 4 brothers, 4 sisters. A lot of them either have 1, 2 kids, but they've started a business to where things took off, or they were able to help each other out, to where they're sitting here driving these ridiculous cars, like over $100,000 cars, 80s, 90s, something like that. And then we were always like, like the lower class kind of things, because we were a big family that we had to take care of.
Yeah.
So for down here, it was type of way a little struggle growing up, realizing it like this. I always thought the worst kind of type of way about Americans, just because on how they lived, but I got the most love out of Americans than I did out of my own kind.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Why do you think that is? Do you know?
No, I don't. It has me a little bit stunned too. It's like I feel like they all have a face that you should be able to put on.
Mm-hmm.
They all have, you should act like this, you should be like this, you should, things like this. But it was always tough growing up. Getting picked on. We didn't take stuff from the people from church.
Mm-hmm.
Like I fought at, I'm not proud to say it, but I fought at church. I used to have to beat up kids because of it. Because I would get picked on or get something like this, and we've just had issues with people there to where gradually got to where now I'm at an American church. I don't even go to a Romanian church anymore.
No shit. Wow. See, I didn't even know that. That's so bizarre, and I don't understand that at all, man.
How should I say? It's been tough. It's, Romania, or even, my dad being a pastor and all, you learn to live a different kind of way. You learn different things, how Romanians learned how they lived, how it was like this, but Romania to here is a lot different. The things you're able to get out here compared to what you could do down there is a big difference. Romania used to be a communist country, so that's why for us, when we start seeing things, going down towards communism or starts going down to like this, we get, how should I say, we get into, like, involved to where, like, hey, we've been through this. We don't want this anymore. We don't want like that. So, like, for us, it's, we've been through some of that thing. I've seen my family, like, my parents have gone through it. I've heard their stories, but coming down here was just a whole different kind of thing learning, because my thing was always mostly, never really hang out with Americans, even from like school. I was always, hang out with my cousins, hang out with that until...
Right, try and stick to home.
Yeah, until that started falling apart because we were the black sheep of our family, of our cousins, our aunts, or this, would see us as because we accepted more Americans. We hung out more with in a type of way, like different people from, blacks to Mexicans to, we were always with like Americans. We were never really with Romanians because they grew up a lot different.
Mm-hmm. That type of choice brings a lot of judgment.
Yeah, they like it don't matter what it was. Like if they would say I could sit here and be the goodest kid, I wouldn't do anything, and I'd sit here and hang out with somebody that people might know as, this guy might smoke, this guy might drink, or this guy's done this and this. They automatically think you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and it don't matter what they're like. Oh, you're on it too. You're on this. You're.
So if you associate with any kind of bad situation, you're automatically...
Yep.
Wow.
So it was always like anything we would do was never quite in the type of way good enough. We always felt like. So that's why leaving that church, went to another one. That one was pretty good. And then things happened between the church. The church ended up splitting. Then we started like our own little small Romanian church. That ended up splitting. Then went a little bit smaller. And then I ended up just leaving it because I was like, I'm not going to just keep going to church for now my parents, to make my parents feel good. I was like, I want to go somewhere that's going to make my soul, that's going to reach my soul, my heart, something that I can feel, not just fill up my parents' heart, because what is that going to do for me in the long run?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why for me, it's like I started, long story short, I hang out a lot more now with Americans. Romanian-wise, it's more than family. I don't quite have like Romanian friends I actually go and hang out with anymore. For me, it's last couple of years, I've always been, in type of way Americans. And I've always seen a different, I always heard different stuff like that, but I couldn't let my judgment be impacted by someone else's, what they have to say about someone.
Yeah, I definitely can't fucking blame you for that. Now, in making that choice, and I only ask something like this because I have so little faith in, I guess you could say, like, the crossover. I don't know, like, Americans as a blanket statement, they just kind of, like, I don't know, like, in my opinion, you always have to have your guard up, and you kind of got to know what you're getting yourself into, because Americans and American slang and you know the attitudes, most of the initial shit that you get from American people is fake. And again, I use that as a whole. I'm not grouping anybody. So, but I guess this is kind of where it comes into everything that you've told me about, you know, the people that you grew up around, and it doesn't seem like it's a whole lot different.
No, I think every race, excuse me, I think every race has like their own, should I say, judgmental people, has their own people that they want you to live to this standard, to live like this, but it's like, we've all gone different. We've all had different battles that we've all dealt with. Now, you can't sit here and compare my battles to your battles, but I feel like I got battles that I knew, you know, one type of way I got them that where I can overcome, and then we each have a battle. Now, who knows the battle that you went through? I can't quite say if I would have been able to go through the same battle that you have had to. So who am I to sit here and point fingers in any type of ways?
This right here, that conversation and that realization is where most people fall short, in my opinion, because not a lot of people are willing to take that kind of perception and apply it to real life. You know, most people would just rather assume, I've been through some shit, this motherfucker doesn't know it, and I'm going to be a hard ass because of that. You know, and that's kind of where I get turned off to getting to know anybody, when I start realizing that they're above me, or they don't have any interest in being who they really are, and that's kind of where I turn away, you know. But since I've known you, man, you haven't turned away. You've been like a strong wall, rightfully so, but you've never been turned away to the idea of being around, you know. And I think that open-mindedness in and of itself is hugely important. So I don't know, you fucking, I've always felt like that's much more than I've seen from a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like I've told you that in the past, is that initial step is like, that's more than a lot of people will give another person. So it's pretty incredible that after everything you've gone through, it's like you're still willing to hear somebody out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, like I said, we all grew up different. You
Yeah.
know, I grew up in a type of way different from that. You know, for me, it's like, I dealt with the whole go back to Romania kind of thing. I dealt with that whole thing, you know, like, because, you know, worked with, had to learn English, you know. But for me, it's like I've told you, I don't know what you've been through. You know, we've talked, but I'm saying, like, I don't know what this person has gone through. I don't know what it is like this. So I'm the type of person to, it's like, I like to get to either know, or it's like, I'll give chances, because it's like, you know what, we were all raised differently. We all had different trials in our life that molded us to be what we are today.
Perfect.
Now, I've had times to where I could have let that mold break. I could have let it break to where I would either try to be a little bit, you know, try to get into that hard ass stage. I would try to like this and this, but it's just not who I am. I grew up a little more different, and I'm not saying anything like that, but it's like, for me, it's like, I like to give chances. I like to give opportunities of people. And, you know, after a couple of times, once you start seeing it, is when you'll start seeing that it's a dead end with some stuff, with some people, with some things. And it sucks to say, but it's like,
it does suck.
You know,
Yeah,
people
really
that you might care
sucks.
about, people like this and this, sometimes you just have to cut the line, because you see it's doing no good. It's doing way worse than it's doing better for you.
It's fucking, it's pretty incredible, because, you know, I try to do the exact same things. I try to give everybody, you know, the benefit of the doubt, and try and give everybody a chance to open up. And that sounds like I'm like I'm not above anybody, but I try to give everybody a chance to just be, I want to meet the real you, you know, not the you that we fucking met at the bar.
Yeah.
And like you said, unfortunately, with a good majority of people, not everybody lets you in. And at the end of the day, you know, if it's not going to be that way, then I just really don't have any interest in it. But
Yeah, for me, it's like, I can't quite sit here and judge somebody on, like, hey, when we've just had times that we've, like you said, at the bar. Can't sit here and, you know, judge like that. For me, it's like, I like to have that, you know, kind of like, in type of intimacy with somebody, get
Yeah,
to know you
yeah.
a little bit better, get to know something like this, and then I feel like, if we're able to sit here and call each other friends or call each other boys or call each other like this, I feel like we should be able to call each other out when one of us are doing some things that affects in the type of way life, affects anything like this, if not even just my life, their life as well. I feel like we should be able to talk with each other. Now, a lot of the times, a lot of people don't see it like that, and they think you're trying to go after them.
Yeah, people feel attacked
Yeah.
and they get defensive, and it's really unfortunate. It really truly is, because it then makes you fucking put a guard up back again,
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
But-
life has been.
it's just after like I said, hearing your stories and hearing everything that you've kind of again, like you said, I can't say that if I would have been through your stories, then I can't say that I would have survived. I just don't. I find your stories so much more astonishing, and the way you came out even more incredible. And that's why I really wanted the opportunity for you to express some of that with the listeners. How old are you?
31. Dear Lord.
You're 31, and so as a grown ass man, you're at the brink of really, like, this is when we really fucking kind of take control, and you really unfold, like, mentally and, like, emotionally and shit like that. And you're at the cusp of still doing everything correctly. You're not a fucking giant asshole. You don't take advantage of people. You don't. You're a great fucking dude trying to make his way, and I'd like to pull that from a bundle of trash, because it's fucking amazing when somebody makes it out alive.
Yeah.
Being forced in the situations that you have, and being forced physically, mentally, and everything to fight the way you have. You could have taken a different degree a long time ago, man.
Yeah. But like I've said, the type of way I could have. I've seen other people fail at it, give up and stuff like that, but it's just not who I am. It's, best thing is, like, don't expect the world to have the same heart as you do, because then you will be let down. And me growing up, I always thought, hey, if I'm going to be like this, I'm, everyone like that. So for me, I used to get upset. I used to get, distraught. I used to be, what's it called, when I would see, I'd be sitting here treating someone like this, and then they would sit there and treat me the other way, and it used to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I look at it differently. It's because, like I said, I grew up differently, and I'm not trying to sit there and say, hey, anything like that, but I grew up differently, and I know, we've all grown up differently, so that's why for me, I kind of just look at the factor. I'm not one to really bring out my problems. I'd rather put on a smile and try to lighten up someone's day, even though knowing if it's bad or it'd be good. I'd rather do that and know that I got my problems that I deal with to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped quite opening up. The most I open up to is, we'll have like a talk or something like that, but mostly I talk to God. I realize that's who the best person is, to where will give me the best in type of way, help me to realize things a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I talk to man, there's times where I've talked to, a man, talk to people, and I've gone told I should be like this, I should be like that, but that's not who I am. That's not how I was raised. I can't, like, for me to sit there and hurt someone, or something like that, like I told you with that one thing, I still remember it, it was elementary school. There was a kid handing out a piece of, like, gum to all the people, and I asked for one, and he didn't want to give me one. Now, the next day, when I had a pack of gum, and he asked for a piece, I knew how I felt the day he didn't want to give me one, and I gave him it. Because I don't want someone to deal with what I had to deal with. And that's how I look at it. It's like, you know what? We all got different things. And it's just, I can't let the world take away the way I am, because, in type of way, I'm not of this world. I'm of a...
God damn, you speak more truth than a lot of people are willing to dive into. It's enlightening, really, because that thought process is it's like you're stepping over your own pride, you're stepping over your own ego, and you're just like, I'm not gonna hurt the next motherfucker because they might have made a mistake.
Yeah.
And
that's, for me, it's like, I like to talk things over. Like, if I've ever done someone wrong, I'd want them to be able to sit there and call me out about it. Or if I've done something to, like, make somebody upset, I'd always want to talk about it, But, like, a lot of times I've lost a couple friends and stuff like this because I would sit there and try to talk to them about, hey, this is how I feel. And then we would just get into this whole thing. Well, this how I am, this how you know this and this. It's like, okay, well, it's not just kind of in type of way just me. It's like you got other people, but I'm not bringing that like that. You know, it's more as this is how you're making me feel. So now if I feel that you're sitting here and don't care about my well-being, you don't care about how I feel. It's like it's you. Where do I see myself with you in any type of way like that? Where do I see myself being friends or something like that when, in one day I might need you, but hey, you're doing you.
Mm-hmm.
So as down as I might be, as down as I might feel one day and stuff like that, I love to help. I love to be there for people. I love to be able to just, you know, and I won't walk out with a sad face. I won't walk out like this. I will walk out with acting like everything's okay. A lot of people might think things are okay, but, you know, deep down, we all got our own little battle things, but I know things will just get better. I know I just got to stay focused and keep going on the way I live.
Mm-hmm.
And before I used to think, hey, I wanted friends. I wanted a lot of friends. I want to know people. I want to know this. And now, group has gone a lot smaller. Friends have gone a lot smaller. Have my own little battles with my own family at some point to where I don't even quite talk to them as much either as I'd like to. To where, for now, it just seems like, hey, I'm going to do me until things will work itself out, I feel like. You know, we've had our talks, we've had our things. So it's like, for me, I feel like honesty. Like, I like to be able to call somebody out, and I'd want somebody to call me out. Like, if people were to give the time to let you explain it, because, you know, you've probably been there too, where you heard your name being brought up, and you're like, oh, dang, I didn't even know I did this.
Yeah.
You know, you hear rumors or you hear something like that, you know, it's just like, you know, things to it's like, I feel like, hey, if you can sit there and consider me this close as a friend, you can consider me something like this, I feel like it's something that we should be able to talk about. But now, when you're going to sit there and take something from someone else and not get the full story, then it's a little bit more, it leaves you kind of in type of way. You know, it's like, all right, so we've been like this for how long? And then someone had to say one thing to you and you believed all that. But you're not going to look at how I treated you, things have been. You don't look at the bigger picture on what really...
Dude, it's like, regardless of the years of loyalty to a job, to family members, to certain friends, you know, it's when that shit blows up in your face and all that shit just goes to waste, you're like, what was it all for?
Yeah.
You know, and it makes you feel defeated. It makes you feel worthless, you know, like just today's trash, today's entertainment. And it's like, it just like you, man, I finally get to a certain point. I don't hate people. I don't want people to suffer or anything like that, but I have to acknowledge that this is not the energy that I want in my life, you know? And when people want to do stuff like that will initiate hurt without clearing the air first, you don't even have to have the conversation about what your choice is. Sometimes you just have to make the choice and just distance yourself, you know? Like, all right, well, if this is where I stand, then unfortunately I'm going to go ahead and back away.
Yeah, I believe in it. You know, there's one thing I heard. It's like there's people here for a reason. There's people here for a season.
Oof.
And then there's people here for a lifetime. I feel like in some way you'll get some people that will be a ride or die with you from day one.
Yeah.
I get some people that'll either come in there, you know, and do some things to where they'll impact you. And then I feel like you'll have somebody that'll be close for so amount of time that will either get you both up. But what I feel like, once they start seeing that, hey, you guys are in type of way bringing each other down or bringing something like this, I feel like that's when, you know, they're in type of way gone.
If nobody's willing to make a change, or if nobody is going to make that change, you know, then it's time to make that call, you know.
Like, for me, it's all the people that I've had in my life that have been from anything, best friends, anything like this, you know, good friends, anything like this, I wish the best from. Even though a lot of the times I might have gone screwed over, I might have been anything like this, I still wish the best from. I don't know the battles you're quite dealing. I don't know what, you know, what your things are, what you've dealt with through life. You know, that's where I look at it.
I mean, that's 100% me too. As of recently, my heart just wants me to make sure, you know, that if there's going to be something that people are going to take away from me, is that I just want to make sure that everybody's taken care of, regardless of who I am to you. You know, it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, just know that you can. I'll give you a hug. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a hard speed bump for a lot of people to engage, which sucks. But again, man, having the reoccurring thought that you don't know what everybody's going through, I think is really important.
Yeah. Because in that way, like, I could, you know, I thought about it one day and it was just like, what good would it do for me to sit here and like say I'm gonna come out and have a good, try to come hang out with others like that, and then by me being a downer, by me being like this, and that's looking at it from my point of view. I understand to some people, hey, they might not be able to, like they might not be able to, but like I can't sit there and say, hey, I'm going to somewhere over here, or say I'm coming here. I can't sit there and just be all depressed, be all sad, be all this and this. I'd rather know I get myself out of it. I put on a smile and I try to make someone else's night. Because when I see I made someone else's night, when I see like this, that helps me out.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better.
Fuck yeah.
Releases, in type of way, something in my heart to where it's like, it's like a drug you can't even explain in type of way. It's you feel to be able to just help. I get told I care too much or something like this. I get, but it's not that I care too much. It's just we've all got our, how should I say, we all got our battles. We all got our, things that we're going through. Something that'll be either for the time or something like this, but yeah, it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, it sure fucking sounds like it. I feel like maybe one of the things that I heard like growing up a shit ton. It's not really thrown around too much these days, or maybe things are just different. I'm not sure, but like growing up in elementary school, middle school, even high school, people used to be like, "Oh, you're too sensitive," or you care too much. And for the longest time, man, I never wanted to be different because of that, but I never understood why people would say that kind of shit. Not just to me, but in general. Like when you tell somebody, "Oh, you care too much," like one of the things that my family used to tell me, because I'd get like picked on a bunch for it, because I was always sensitive or whatever, too much. And they always used to tell me, well, you just have to laugh with them. You just have to laugh with them. Like when they make fun of you, you just have to learn to laugh with them. And I'm like even as a kid, that was like, why would I I'll do it, but why the fuck would I want to do that? Never made fucking sense to me, man. And I knew from such a young age, I feel like a lot like you do, like we can do these things to get by and to make it in this world, to make sure that we kind of make it through. But at the end of the day, the things that we have to do to get by and the faces that we have to put on are not right.
No.
And the shit that we're taught, and unfortunately the shit that most people have to succumb to, it's not okay, and it's not right. And that's one of the biggest things that I fucking remember was like, you just have to laugh with them. And I remember like dealing with that up until like junior year. Like why like why do I want to laugh with these people that are just making fun of me?
Yeah.
And if that's what makes them stop, I guess I'll just make fun of myself too.
Well, for me, it's like, if you could dish it out, you could take it, is what I look at it as, because if you can sit here and look at me and say all this stuff, now that's the thing. You can sit there and be such a good guy, but now once you turn the script and act a different way,
it's a whole different thing.
It's a whole different. Oh, you're this, you're that, and it's like, okay, so for all this time, I've been like this with you, but once I finally stood up and did something, you're the bad guy now. I'm the bad guy. I'm the and it's dealt with that enough to where it's just like, I'd rather just be honest with it, or be the type of way. Because there's times I've held things back, and there's times where like, hey, I've had my tough situations. I'm a sensitive guy myself too. No matter how big I might be or something like that, it's like I get to where like there's times where I can't. And before I used to sit there and like talk to one of my friends about it. Times I did cry about it and stuff like that, and then stop being friends with it, and then you start hearing all about your issues. You start hearing stuff from other people. You start something like that. So that's why for me, it's like I can't quite get deep down with a lot of people anymore. Other than I got two of my closest family right now, which is Denise and Dennis, my double D's. They understand too in a little bit. They understand where I'm at, and and like when I did go off one time and let them know what I'm dealing with, they couldn't believe it because they were just kind of like you didn't show it. And it's
you
like,
kept it in, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't show it. And it's just because I don't know how your day was. I don't know how, you were going through, what you were, for that day. We all got our own little things. And that's why for me, it's like, it's been interesting. How should I say? I realized that a lot more with the Romanians. They were more, in a type of way, judgmental towards me. Judgmental towards people. Like this, they would, this how they grew up, this how this, and then, my big thing was like, okay, that's how you guys grew up in Romania. We're in America. America's a lot more different than there. There you would have to work for your food. There you would have to, in type of way, it was, it's still almost kind of communist to where it's like the money that they make there is a joke. Like,
But why is it? What about being in Romania is? Well, how could they be judgmental out there?
Well, out there is not that much. Everyone's struggling out there. A lot of the people, what it is, it's the people that came down here. Now you have people that came down here and would come work for a couple years, make this money, and then go back to Romania and then tap away, like how I told you, the American dollar.
Oh, is it a lot more out there?
Well, so the American dollar, $1 is about $4 or $5 in Romania.
Oh shit!
So you got yourself $100, you're at like $400 or $500 right there.
Shit.
Things are costly. They're barely, on top of even Romania, they're barely, not sure how long ago, but they've been barely getting AC. They've been barely getting like water heaters. Back in the day, they used to have to heat up their water with logs.
No
And
shit.
yeah. So you had like a little boiler thing, put some logs, heat up the water, and once that water is gone, you got cold water. So you would have to sit there and try to shower as quick as you can, or.
See, this is all shit.
So, no, when I went to Romania a few years ago, it was 2018, my first time ever going. We ended up getting. It was I actually stayed at where my dad grew up at. It was his old house, or my grandma's house. So it was like kind of two different, like houses on the lot, but like the shower that they had was the wood one. So usually I would let my family go and take a shower, like let them take a shower, and then after I would take, a little colder one. I'd be able to shower a little quicker than they would, and be able to take the cold. We ended up getting them a water heater and type of way. I was like, but Romania was always like a live or die kind of thing. To them, stuffer is, from growing stuff to raising things to eat, to where, if it wasn't the time for this, say for this vegetable, you're not eating this. You're not eating this till it's actual time for a tomato to grow or time for this carrot to be actually, be able to do stuff like that. Here, you want carrots, you want apples, you want this and this and this, even though it's not the time for it, you're getting this from all over.
You can have anything you want all the time.
Yeah.
So why do you think? Why I don't know, mate. I don't know why. Maybe that makes me different, but I don't understand why people that would come from a place like that would come here and decide now's the time to act ignorant.
Because you got a lot of people that came down and either started, like had some help down here or had something like this to where they made a business to where it went off. Say about 20, 30 years ago, a lot of people came down around like the, say, 70s, 80s, was when a lot of people like escaped and came down or something like this, but a lot of them started back in the day to have your own business, things went up. Things started going, especially with so a lot of people have the businesses, and they would start making all this money. And then for them, it'd be like, oh, you're down here and you don't have a business, you're sitting here struggling, you're this and this and this. They would start looking at you like, oh, you came down here for what? Why are you down here? Now, you got a family of, hey, it's him, them, their wife, and a kid or two. And then you had us to where we grew up with, it was my parents and then 9 kids. So it's like we've had, how should I say, in a type of way, you've had to work for it. You had to deal with, they'll look at you down. I don't know. It's ridiculous. I think about that. I try to sit there and think about it. Like, why is it, like this? But a lot of times you would think that, hey, Romanians stick together, this and this and this. And no, a lot of the times they wouldn't.
I can understand, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to talk shit because I'm on the other side. I've never had to see any of that struggle, Like, I've been through a lot of shit, and I've been through hunger and shit like that, but never on that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've always had a fucking Safeway around the corner. So even at the very least, with a couple of dollars, you can eat.
Yeah.
Really stupid fucking shit. But I don't know. It's just weird to think that, like, people that came from such a level of, I'm not going to use the word poverty because that's not the right word. But you guys understand what it's really like to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to come from a level of that and then to be ignorant or arrogant because you see other people from where you're from that are not taking advantage. Is that what I'm getting?
That's what it would feel like, Some
Right.
people would.
So like you're not taking advantage enough, so therefore they look at you like you're being a piece of shit because you're not taking advantage the way we are.
Yeah.
Kinda.
In some way. But it wouldn't be like that. It's like, you would try. Like, my parents have tried to do a business thing, but like from my parents to come down, by the time they actually came to the States, they had 1 child. Then they had 2 more, down. Well, they had 1 in California, and then I'd say about 5 of us are born in Seattle, and the last 2 are down here in Arizona. But I had like a bigger family to where we struggled. You know, my parents have gone through the whole thing to where they had to deal with type of way, even dumpster dive to try to find things to be able to sell, to be able to. Because my dad did schooling in Romania, but now when they came down here, none of that schooling was good. They didn't want to take it. You know, he did computers, he did stuff like that, but now I'd want to see somebody that's really smart go to Romania and try to do the school in Romania because the Romanian schools are a lot more advanced than what they have down here.
Oh yeah, I would definitely believe that.
So it's just it sucks. It sucks to how it is. I can't quite tell you myself either. I've sat there and thought about it myself. I've had friends that, you know, like they were living off good. They didn't have issues, you know. For me, hey, if I want to get myself a car or something like this, it would be I have to work for it. Now for them, they would sit there and hey, they'd get a car. They would do some stupid stuff, crash it. What would happen? Daddy would buy them a new one. Not even a week later.
I guess the thought would be, in an ideal world, that there would be one hand holding another or reaching to help the other one up. But I guess that's...
You were to think.
I guess that doesn't fucking work out the way we intend for it to. Because that's insane, man. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see where pride would get in the way, but I don't... It's kind of like a backwards thing because like I've never seen what you guys came from, but seeing what you're coming to, in my opinion, is like it's America. I get it. It's free. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do here. Literally, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You can eat wherever the fuck you want to eat. You can have whatever the fuck you want to have. But like, none of it is like organic. For your soul, for your fucking body, for anything. It's all just shit, and it's all just, you know, plastic and chemicals and stuff. So I kind of have a hard time like accepting that people. I don't know. It's hard for me without seeing the other side of it.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with anything that.
No, I still got family down in Romania. When I went down there to see them, I still get, you know, I talked to a couple of my cousins, you know, through online and stuff like this, to where they tell me their dream is to come to America.
I believe it.
You know, they're 20-some years old, and they're like, they can't wait to come down to America, you know, and then you hear the money that they make. Their money there, you know, and then what things actually cost, you know, because, like, it ain't quite cheap.
Right.
For, like, an American, you know, for me to go change out some money, it's cheap. You know, we were going to sit there and buy kind of what we kind of wanted. So a lot of times we would sit there and buy stuff for our cousins, buy stuff like this, you know, do things like that. But now for him sitting here and telling me, he's like, for me, I make... It's like lay, you know, so he's like, I make like $7-8 probably if say an hour, you know, and then he's like,
Christ.
He's like, and then you know, type of way if they smoke, you know, he's like a pack of cigarettes is about $12 to $15. So
Good
for him to
Lord,
want,
man.
you know, so it's like things are a lot more up there, you know, like things for them, it's, you know, they don't make that much. They make, I'd say like, if you actually think about it, you know, like they don't make the money that we make. So that's why for them, like. You'll get a lot of Romanians that want to come down here because like they've dealt with it down there, you know. So like they'll come down here and just start working. They'll open up a business, they'll make something, and then either times they'll go off or times they'll just come here, work for a couple of years, and then go back. And in type of way, you got money. With that money, you're able to sit there and take care of yourself for some years, you know, for a little bit, you know, for a while, just because it's like, hey, pay this, pay that, you know, and it's.
Some of the hardest workers are people that I've worked with in the past that are from other countries, spread throughout, not just like Romanians, stuff like that. Like I said, I've told you guys multiple times how I kind of grew up with a lot of the different nationalities and religions and stuff like that from all like the wars and shit that have happened. I grew up with a lot of guys from a lot of different places, man. And the one thing I learned really quick was that their work ethic was huge. Like coming down here and just being able to do what the fuck you need to do. All you have to do is do it.
Yeah.
And they found that so crazy, so out of this fucking world that they could just work whenever, day or night, that they would just go to work.
So a lot of them, like do come from other countries. They'll come down on a work visa.
Uh-huh.
Now this is like a 6 to 8 month thing. You can come and work for 6 to 8 months, and then you got to go back. Now there's some people that come down here on a visa. You can't work. You get caught working. You're getting sent back, and you're getting fined. And then you'll be like, you're not allowed to come down here for a little while because you went against our...
On a work visa, how long... So you can do the work, and then you have to go back. How long do you have to go back for? Do you know?
I think it's 6 months.
Oh,
So
okay.
you get like a year down here.
Mm-hmm.
You get like 9 to some like kind of months that you can actually work, and then in type way you got to go back. Now there are times where you're able to sit there and put in for another one if they'll allow it. They'll sometimes be like, hey, yeah, you can stay another year, you can stay a little, this and this. But a lot of times they're like, came down here like that, you got to go back, and then you got to apply for another one.
I've heard so many incredible stories of people that have come down here and done the immigration process the way it's intended. I don't know anything about it, so I can't say one way or the other. I don't know shit. But I know for some people it's taken upwards of like 12 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can only imagine. I feel for anybody that's done it correctly. I don't know what that process looks like. But I know that in some countries across the world, it's not possible unless you have bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even for us to have like people come down that have never been in the States,
Right.
you gotta, in type of way, you gotta ask for them to come down here. As in, you gotta send a thing down and be like, oh yeah, we want them to just come down for a little while, and you gotta explain why, who they are to you, what they're gonna be doing, and stuff like this. And then they could come down, but they can't come and stay. They come in, they have a visa to where sometimes it'll only be 3 months. Sometimes you'll get 6 months. So it all varies. It all depends on what they'll allow you to actually stay.
That's incredible, man.
So a lot of times it's not, you'll have some people that'll come down and then they'll just stick here.
Uh-huh.
And then, once their visa is gone, it's like, if they get caught with anything, if they get ran like that, they get deported. And once you get deported, things are a little bit more harder to even come back down here or something like that. They gotta.
Well, now it's on your fucking record that you got deported. It's like, I know, because we live in, between like Arizona and Texas, the conversation of the whole border thing comes up so fucking often, and I don't really share a stance on it. I understand the bads and I understand the goods, but at the same time, you have to like just be like, well, at what point, when can people make this move legally? Like, what does that side look like? And that's kind of the part I support more than anything. But everybody always just talks about the illegal shit.
Yeah.
But I never understood, like, especially if you're coming from overseas and you're getting off the plane in America. Like, well, you're fucking here now, and everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so the way you're here is just they won't know if you go back or not until if either you get caught and they try to run your name, or they try to like this and they see that you're. But I can't quite say much on it either, because type way my dad came here legally but illegally. He ran from communism. It was during Ceausescu when he was running Romania.
Mm-hmm.
He escaped. He was in a river with him and like 2-3 other people. They escaped Romania to where they were in a river for about a week, floating, and then
Holy
they
shit.
got caught in Germany. In Germany, he was in jail for about a week or two until they found out why he was running and stuff like that. They gave him immunity, and then he was able to come down. There was some family that in type of way either made it to California but in type of way, my dad is almost one of the reasons why a lot of my family is down here. Like from my aunts, from my uncles, from because he was one of the people, him and one of my uncles were one of the people that, were escaped to make it here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I can't quite say. I understand when you got people, like this, that'll be running from that. Now, the thing is, when we came down here, we didn't get that help that you see nowadays, to where it's like, hey, I feel like the immigrants are getting more help than the people down here.
Mm-hmm.
Than we actually are. How should I say, like the Americans? Now, can't quite say much about that either, because it's, how should I say, like, I understand they need help, but it's like, yeah, to help them out and stuff, to help out the immigrants or to help out stuff like that, but then you get them to where they just get used to getting the help to where they won't sit there and do anything else. They'll sit there and just want to be on the...
I feel like I know a little bit about like all the immigration stuff and all the politics that kind of go behind it, especially out here. It's a little bit more obvious, because we're like one of the main places where a lot of the shit goes down. But I still don't feel like I know enough to really speak too much on it. I just wish that it was a little bit more accessible, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that tie into the way that the choices are made. There's a lot of other activities that are tied into a lot of the shit that goes on here. That's not necessary. Well, I mean, I I don't know. I don't want to speak too much on a whole lot of the crisis that's going on here. That can go a hard left real quick.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But I do wish that it was a little bit more accessible without having to make the drastic choices that a lot of people have to.
No, I feel like it is like that. It's just a lot of people don't want to wait for it because
I
in
understand.
the type of way I feel like, hey, they're trying to get away from something, something that's, from there.
So, so the panic decision is
yeah. So a
just
lot of
to-
them will,
just to immigrate.
yeah, well, rather just immigrate, and then a lot of times, they can try to sit there and get into it after that. But now you got some people that will just come down here and just not really try to do anything about it. They'll, be under the table, under stuff like this. I understand it, but now I can't quite say much myself either with that. Because I've heard a lot of stories on why, like, hey, things that take longer because they try to figure out who you are from your place, from where you're at. And then a lot of people have done some crazy shit back in the day or done some shit there to where they're trying to run away from that. And they come here, but they're like, we don't want to have this kind of person down here. If you did that there, what are you going to do here now with more freedom, with more...
That kind of sucks.
So it's just... I can't quite much say about that. Most I've ever been on the other end is just getting told to go back to my country, even though I'm first generation American. I was born in Seattle.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid. You're like,
There's just...
you want to see my license, dickhead?
Like, for me, it's, my first language was Romanian.
Yeah.
We were teaching our parents American, or English. We were teaching them English because we ended up going to school. They had, like, their broken Romanian. They didn't quite know much about it. So it's like, for us, we went, did the whole, whatever that thing is in school that you learn English.
Well, like EL.
Yeah. So we had to take that. Each one of us would take it because in Tapoy, our first language was that. Our church that we went to was Romanian. It was never quite, And I'd say probably in the last, 5 to 10 years, they started actually, probably a little bit longer, they actually started integrating, English.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you started having different generations now that were just going down here. And it was like learning English and then trying to learn Romanian. But then you went to a church and it was just all Romanian. It's like, all right, well, I'm a little bit more better like this. I'm more fluent in the English and I went to Romanian. So then even now in Romanian churches, they started adding a little bit of, English. They started having somebody come and preach, down into English, something like this, so where it's like, hey, in type of way you could reach out
That's pretty fucking cool.
a little more to the. Well, before it's like, even when we would bring friends or something like this, bring American friends there, I'd bring a friend to church, I'd have to translate everything that would be going on. So what this guy would sit there and say, I'd be sitting here and trying to translate it from, Romanian to English. Now, it's a big thing because it's like in Romanian it sounds like this. Now I try to say it in English, it's.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot more off in type of way. So you would
yeah.
have to kind of almost sometimes even wing it, but...
That's what I was talking to you guys about the other night is how many different words translate into American slang because fucking most of the proper words don't,
Mm-hmm.
We have so many different ways of saying so much dumb shit that it's like we have almost like 3 or 4 sets of languages depending on how somebody talks, depending on where they're from, depending on all kinds of shit, And for one, cursing so much in our language sure as fuck doesn't help. but I do appreciate one of the just to take 40 steps back real quick. One of the things that stuck with me for whatever fucking reason was my mom always used to tell me, "Don't curse; it makes you sound dumb." And I never really took it to heart. Obviously, I curse. I think it's funny. Whatever. But for some reason now, it still sticks with me. And then when I hear you guys have conversations, when I listen to you and your sister, you guys don't really, you do curse every once in a while, but for the most part, your English translation is pretty fucking proper. I wish I could stop doing it.
No, it's understanding.
But I enjoy it because it's more proper, because it's less slang and more just talk.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I can't speak for the rest of the people that you guys get to talk to, but I personally enjoy it because it's a lot less slang. Even for normal ass Americans, I got to decipher, what he means by what he means. I got to decipher what he's really saying because that guy had some sarcastic shit to say, and it's usually when you guys talk, it's pretty cut and dry, straight and forward.
Yeah.
I don't really have to guess, so it's pretty dope. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's even for us, it's we grew up without cursing was bad.
Yeah.
How I told you,
bad, yeah.
I had a pastor dad. For us, it was church. Even rap music. Once we would listen to rap music, we would get You know, my parents would hear any other type of like genre or anything like this. You know, like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon back in the day. That was the devil. You know, that was magic. This is this. You know, there were like stuff like that. You know, to where they just seen things a little bit more differently. So like in type of way that we grew up, it was just. I grew up in type of way when I grew up younger. I grew up with a bigger fear for God. Not saying that I don't have that fear now, but I'm saying like there would be like, oh, you know, type of way how a lot of people are still shocked. You know, I barely lost my virginity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's been probably a year and stuff like this. You know, I was 30 years old, but it was just the way I grew up was I felt like, you know, you do something like this wrong to where you'd get strike down. I almost thought, hey, like I mess up or I do something like this, you're gonna get strike down and by God right then and there kind of thing. So I was always like afraid to do anything, you know, like cursing or something like this. I was always in type of way a little goody boy. And then little by little experiencing life more and more without like the Romania thing, started actually seeing things in my own eyes, started, you know, things like this and this. I started being able to put it like that. Like God ain't gonna sit there and strike me down. Now there will be that little thing, you know, to where he'll feel about, you know, like, you know, I feel bothered if I do sit there and do something to where I know I shouldn't have. I got like that thing towards like, you know, I feel like upset him.
Understanding and learning, you know,
Yeah.
with that fear is a fucking giant step.
Yeah, and that's why for like me growing up, like it was tough. Like even now, like I curse, but I don't curse that much. Like even around my parents, I don't something like this, you know. But every now and then, like when like I'll be in a deep conversation or like something like this, a little more, I'll have like a conversation with my parents, and like I'll say a word and I apologize because it's like, you know, they're not you know, like, hey, you know, what's it like this, you know. But for them, we're like, oh, you know, they would be mad. Like, you know, I got caught smoking cigarettes back in the day. You know, and he was like, oh, what's like, you know, in Romania. When I told him, I was like, Dad, you can't compare Romania to America.
Yeah.
America, I could sit there and turn 2 lefts throughout the neighborhood and I could find somebody that's selling the craziest stuff, you know, to get this, to get that. You know, I've never got into anything crazy.
Yeah.
You know, for Romania, I was like, you guys' stuff is not nowhere near of what's down here. Like, you can't quite get that. And now in Romania, if you get caught with any of the stuff that's down here, it's not no misdemeanor. That's like jail time. You're getting like...
I've heard that.
It's like real strict there with anything, you know, like they're any kind of thing. And they're, you know, a little more, what's it called, with like, even like their cigarettes, you know, from there, if you get a pack of cigarettes from there, it straight tells you, this is going to be your lungs. It tells you it causes cancer. It shows pictures on the pack of cigarettes that actually tells you what happens if you want to sit here and smoke cigarettes on the pack of cigarettes.
I mean, it's honesty. It's good shit.
But it's been a wild ride, man. It's, you know, from learning, you know, like I always thought, hey, Romanians, hang out with Romanians, but type of way, like my friends, like closest friends, are all Americans. Like I got my family, you know, I still got my family that's Romanian, you know, that I'm like real close with and stuff like this, you know. Like I told you about Dennis, Denise, you know, I got some other ones and stuff like this, you know. But to me, Americans have been a little more truthful to me than what a Romanian would be, because like, you know, they taught you in the type of way, hey, like you said, just swipe it under the rug and put a smile on. You know, whatever happened, oh, it's okay, you know, just put it like that, you know. So a lot of times they'd be like, oh, this person screwed me over. It'd be like, oh, pray about it. You know, so then you would sit there and forgive the person this and this and this. A little bit later, does the same thing. And for you, it'd be like, oh, you just got to forgive and forget kind of thing. And it's, I grew up like that, to where in a type of way, it was bogging on me. Because it's like, okay, I'm not treating you like that. I'm not doing this to you. Yeah. Now, why are you doing this to me?
You're just bearing all that weight.
And that's why, to me, it started getting to the thing to where I like to talk to people. I feel like if someone does me wrong, I like to talk about it. If there's something, you know, like this, you know, someone has between me, I want to talk about it and know what is it really that bothered you, or what is it that, you know, why are we like this now?
Dude, that's exactly what the fuck I'm doing here.
Yeah.
It's exactly why I started this fucking podcast. I just decided I was going to start talking to people, start trying to understand why people are and why people are acting the way that they are. It's exactly it, man. And I'm super grateful you understand that.
I know.
Not a lot of people are willing to carry that burden, but
well, it's like, you know, like I always say in the type of way, like I told you, like you seen that conversation that we had that one time, that one night. It got what's it called like this, you know, and I told you why I was like that. Yep. Why, you know, like for me, I keep a little bit of a shield on it. You know, there's some things, you know, like this. I got friends.
Yeah.
I got family, and then I got brothers.
Yep.
You know, in a type of way, and it's like, you know, like, you know, before I used to be like, oh yeah, hey, this is my boy, this and this and this and this, and then a lot of times I got screwed over by my boy, to where, you know, I started seeing it, you know, hey,
like, what is happening?
Yeah, and that's why for me, it's like, you know, put up a wall to where it's like I started seeing on what people's actions are towards me. When I'm down, when you're somewhere, you know, low, you'll see who your true friends are. Because when you're up there, everyone wants to be your friend. When you're sitting there making this, when you're like this, you know,
it's
everybody.
Easy, yeah.
But then when you're down, you don't got people around. Nope. You know, You feel like, you know, that would break me in type of way. I used to be like when you were dealing with this, I was here for you. I was like, now that I'm dealing with something like this, and you ain't sitting there like anything like this, giving me a care, giving me like this and this, you know, it would bother me. And I used to have things just like that. And then that's why for me, it's like, I like to be able to call you out. I like to be able to sit there and be like, hey, like, what's up with this? What's up like that? You know, and then to some people, they're not used to it. People aren't used to the honesty. People aren't used to, hey, getting called out or getting like this and this. And for me, it's like, I'm sorry, if we were friends, why can't we sit there and call each other? Why can't we, you know, talk about honesty or truthfulness? Why can't we, you know, this? Like, you're just going to put, oh, we're friends and that's it, leave it like that. No, you're going to do something that's going to screw me over. You're going to do something that's against, you know, talking about me or something like that. I want to know.
I hold you higher. I expect higher from you.
Yeah. And that's why I try to look at it, you know, like, I don't know. It's been a roller coaster of a life, and I could have let things get to me to where I could have been a whole different person, but then, like I told you, it all comes back down to, I don't know your battles. You don't know my battles. Like, I've maybe overcame this. You've overcame this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who knows what if I would have been in your place and you would have been in my place, that kind of thing. You know, we've all had different situations, different things to where I feel like, hey, you'll go through a situation that'll mold you. And depending on how you take it and how you react with it, is if it'll mold you for good or mold you for bad.
How you learn from it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I try to look at. So, you know, in type of way, look at it as, hey, like, you know, either it's going to be something you can grow off of, or it's something you're going to just push aside and just keep doing the same thing that you're doing and be the person you want to be instead of being the person you should be in a type of way.
Well, it's incredible, man, and I hope you never let go of that.
No, I can't.
So, just keep being who you are. You know, it's difficult. It's hard. It's a hard place to be, but if it matters at all, you know, at least one person appreciates it. So. I appreciate you coming on and pouring your heart out and letting the people know, you know, that there is hope. There is a chance. You know, don't let go of that love. No. Don't ever let go of your love. Everybody has problems. Everybody has their own issues, and just don't let go of that shit. So.
There's too much evil in the world for me to bring any of it myself.
Life is hard enough, dog. I don't need to be making it any harder.
So why can't I, you know, why not pour out some love, out some...
I'll introduce a little bit of relief.
Yeah, exactly. Know? That's why, you know...
So
I appreciate you for having me. Appreciate you for the talks that we do have, man.
You're a dope mother. You're a dope dude, man, and I'm fucking grateful to have you in my life.
You as well, brother.
So
I thank you.
Yeah, don't give up, and they're gonna appreciate this. So we love you.
Enjoy it. Take it. The great heart.